Hello guys and welcome to Poser's Movie Recaps. It all begins in New Orleans, the most paranormal place where somber funerals end in celebration. Here, they consider death as the new beginning, and grief can be a doorway to happiness for those who are willing to walk through it. During a New Year's party, an astrophysicist named Ben Mathias meets Alyssa, a ghost tour guide in town. As Ben is a science guy who mostly believes in what science can prove, he is mesmerized by her credence of the supernatural. Instantly, they develop some kind of connection, which clearly leads to a romantic relationship. Sometime later, Ben is drinking in the bar while having a bad day. The bartender alerts him that a group of people are waiting for him outside, and after paying for his drinks, he walks out to lead the group on their tour. It seems ironic because as the tour commences, Ben points out that he is there to tell them the historical facts and not scare them with fake ghost stories. When some of the tourists insists that ghosts are real, Ben tells them that he's been to every haunted house in the most haunted city, but finds no evidence of ghost existence. Somewhere else, a doctor named Gabby and her son Travis move from New York to Gracie Manor. As Travis enters the mansion, he is terrified when several ghosts welcome him home. He runs outside and tells Gabby that the place is haunted, but Gabby dismisses it as a product of his imagination. When a suit of armor moves its head, Gabby takes Travis's hand and tells him to run while the armor suit chases them. In the morning, someone knocks at Ben's house while he's sleeping, and when he doesn't get up to answer the door, a man enters his house. Ben quickly confronts the man who introduces himself as Father Kent, and asks why he enters his house without permission. He offers Ben a job to take photographs of the ghost at Gracie Manor, as he is aware that Ben has invented a camera that can capture ghost particles. Initially, Ben declines the offer as he thinks that Kent is mocking him, but Kent explains Gabby and Travis's situation which catches Ben's attention. When Ben still says no, Kent tries to convince the man to give it a try and promise that the pay will be worth it. Ben eventually relents, and proceeds to take his camera out while remembering his time with Alyssa. When Ben reaches the mansion, Gabby warns him that he still has time to back out, as what he can find inside might change the whole course of his life. Ben is determined to finish the job, because aside from being well paid, he has a personal agenda of finding a real ghost. As Gabby leads him inside, she introduces him to Travis and explains that they are sleeping in the sitting room as it is much safer for now. She adds that she intended to convert the mansion into a bed and breakfast, but hit a snag when they discovered that the house was haunted. When Ben starts taking photos, the suit of armor appears behind them but it doesn't move after, giving the impression to Ben that there's no actual ghost in the mansion. At home, Ben eats while watching TV, but gets startled when the remote moves out of his hand on its own. He rushes to get his special camera, and takes a photo of his couch. When he sees nothing in the picture, he goes to his room to sleep. He gets interrupted by a knock on the door, but when he opens it, he finds that his house is flooded. In denial of what he saw, Ben goes out to think. When he goes back home, his living room is still flooded, and something yells at him to go back to the haunted mansion. He then drives back to Gracie Manor, where Gabby and Travis are waiting outside. The duo seems to be aware of what's happening with Ben, and explains that they experienced the same. She adds that once someone steps inside the house, they'll be haunted by the ghost wherever they go. Ben is upset because Gabby didn't tell him, but Gabby retorts that she would only feel guilty if Ben didn't accept a lot of money from her. He also discovers that Father Kent is in the same predicament, and blames him as well of his current situation. Without any other choice, Ben shows them the picture he took, and adds that the silhouette seems to be similar to the mariner's painting upstairs. They figured that the ghost wanted them in the house for some reason, and they needed to learn why so they could find a way to leave the house. As midnight comes, Gabby warns Ben not to roam around, but Ben is adamant about finding some answers. As he walks in the hallway, he encounters another ghost and runs. The next day, Ben and Kent visit several people including a college professor and a psychic, so they can learn about the history of the mansion. They install security cameras inside the house, and observe that the ghosts seem to be running from something. Professor Bruce Davis tells them that the house has a strange and violent history, and insists that he should visit the mansion. But when Kent and Ben learn that he is scheduled to have heart surgery in a week, they refuse to take him and steal the mansion's record from Bruce. Later, Harriet the psychic visits the house, and tells them that most ghosts fight back. She assures them that she's a professional of sending ghosts away, and adds that she will be accepting PayPal payments before leaving. 2 hours later, Harriet is back, upset that the mansion's ghost follows her as well. Upon their research of the stolen documents, the first recorded owner of the mansion is a man named William Gracie and his wife Eleanor. When Eleanor died of yellow fever, it is said that William sought the help of a medium named Madame Leota, but eventually lost his mind and took his own life. Subsequently, 66 people moved into the mansion, but each one of them died of a strange death. Throughout their investigation, they discover a hidden room behind Eleanor's painting, which is said to be a secret seance room. Harriet tries to communicate with William's spirit, but seems to be just faking it. Suddenly, the pen on the table writes on itself, and afterward, it says "Talk to Leota." Ben is astonished with what he just witnessed, and asks if Harriet can summon Alyssa's spirit. He remembers the time he proposed to her, but Harriet refuses as she thinks that Alyssa's ghost is not in the mansion. When the air around the room shifts like madness, Harriet tries to summon Leota's spirit. However, before they can continue, a mysterious entity forces Harriet out of the house, and Bruce arrives shortly afterward. As Bruce enters the house, a chair pushes the professor outside until he's almost hit by a truck. After he gets treatment from the hospital, the group goes back to the mansion and explains the situation to Bruce. Harriet talks to Ben about his wife, and tells him that Alyssa is at peace and the living should not interfere with that. In the middle of the night, Gabby wakes Ben because Bruce is missing. When they find Bruce, the professor insists that they should look for Leota's ghost and suggests checking the attic. Ben encounters an angry ghostly bride, and finds a locked trunk upon his search. When they open the trunk, it contains Leota's book and a crystal ball which houses the medium's spirit. Madame Leota tells them what really happened to William, when the man was lost in grief due to his wife's death. He sought her to contact Eleanor every midnight for a full year, and the repeated seance opened the floodgate to the afterlife. Hundreds of spirits were released into the mansion, but never his beloved Eleanor. Eventually, an evil entity posing as Eleanor tricked William into taking his own life, and trapped Leota inside her crystal ball. She adds that the evil entity was not an ordinary ghost, because it was able to trap these once happy souls inside the house. The entity needs 1,000 souls to escape the house, and at William's time, it already has 933 souls inside the house. In order to stop the entity, they need something that it previously owned, but before Leota can continue, the evil stops her. Doing their math, 933 souls plus the 66 people who perished afterward, the entity has 999 souls and only needs one to complete its evil mission. The next day, they figure that they only have 4 days until the full moon, because according to records, all the tragedies in the past happened during the full moon. Harriet attempts to perform an astral projection to seek more answers, but while at it, she accidentally ends up sending Ben out of his body. As a spirit, Ben encounters William looking for Eleanor, and warns him not to let the evil take another soul. Ben discovers that the evil entity is in fact the Hatbox Ghost, who chases him throughout the mansion. Once Ben is back in his body, he tells them about the entity and adds that it wants Ben to be its last soul. Since Ben is still grieving, the entity feels that he's the most vulnerable among the group. Ben shares that his wife passed away due to a car accident, and afterward, he gave up his career to finish his camera to see his wife once more. In the morning, Bruce takes Ben to a sketch artist to draw the Hatbox Ghost, and identifies it as Alastair Crump. He was a wealthy heir who was treated badly by his father after his mother's death, and expelled him from his home when he was still young. Upon reaching adulthood, Alastair returns after his father's mysterious death, and becomes known for throwing lavish parties at his mansion. Unfortunately, some of the socialite who attended was never seen again, and whispers grew that Alastair finished them off in revenge for being shunned in the past. It was said that Alastair used dark magic in a ritual that required sacrifice, so he would be able to maintain his youth and power. After years of cruelty, his staff finally rose up against him and beheaded their master. Just before the axe fell, Alastair vowed revenge on all from beyond the grave. They also learn that Alastair's former house was turned into a bed and breakfast, so the group rushes out to find something that Alastair used to own. On the way out, Alastair's spirit tries to trap them inside the mansion, but Ben, Kent, and Travis manage to escape and drive away. At the Crump Manor, the trio joins a tour group to find something that belongs to Alastair. They get disappointed when the guide tells them that most of the things inside are replicas. They leave the tour when they notice the mariner's ghost that follows them, and try to communicate with it to seek its help. The mariner tells them that Alastair's last soul must be a willing sacrifice, and it leads them into a tunnel where Crump used to bury his victims. Inside, Travis finds Alastair's hat which they can use in a ritual to banish Crump, so they rush back to Gracie's mansion. Initially, Kent refuses to go back inside, and confess that he is a fraud and knows nothing about exorcism. Ben is able to convince him to still help, and as they enter the mansion, Bruce tells them that it's over. It turns out that Bruce is possessed by Alastair, and while Ben is looking for Gabby and Harriet, Bruce takes the hat from Kent and tries to burn it. Gabby intervenes and is able to save the hat, but when she asks for Travis, Ben tells her that he's safe in the car talking to his dad. Gabby is horrified and tells him that her husband is dead, and realizes that Alastair is trying to sway Travis to willingly give up his life. Alistair leaves to claim Travis, leaving an army of ghosts to prevent them from getting outside. Harriet seeks Leota's help, while Kent tries to exorcise the horde of ghosts. Leota implores Harriet to release her from the crystal ball, so she can help banish all the souls inside the mansion. William helps Ben to find a way out, and when he reaches the graveyard, he manages to convince Travis that it's not his father who is talking to him. Gabby is able to reach Ben and Travis, but Alistair traps them at the graveyard. Inside, Kent is able to convince the ghost to turn on Crump, while Bruce finds a piece of the hat. As Ben is about to sacrifice himself to save Gabby and Travis, Harriet and Leota arrives with Kent and the army of ghosts. Bruce rushes to the group to give the piece of hat, making it possible for Harriet to banish Alistair back into the underworld. At the last moment, Ben makes peace with losing Alyssa, before kicking Crump in the face and sending him to hell. Many of the ghosts decide to stay at the mansion, now in harmony with Gabby and Travis. They take the mariner's ghost back into the sea, and Ben decides to go back into his former career. Upon leaving his apartment, he finds a cat hanging by the door, and discovers its name is Tater Tots, a nod to his wife's love for the snack. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. You can also hit the notification bell and like the video to help the channel out. Thank you.